You are served. You are served. You are served.
In the future, please do not approach the dais while you have removed from the chamber. Please get off here and get back to the microphone. If you have something to give to us, you can give it to the clerk or a member of the county staff.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let me share what I just served. I just served a non-negotiable notice of complaint. This non-negotiable notice of complaint is being filed today, Tuesday, September the 1st, 2020, at the Board of County Commissioners meeting in Palm Beach County, Florida. The non-negotiable notice of complaint is to inform the Palm Beach County Mayor, Dave Kerner, Vice Mayor, Robert S. Weinroth, Palm Beach County Commissioners Melissa McKinley, Gray K. Weiss, Matt Bernard, Mary Lou Berger, and Hal R. Valashay, and the Palm Beach County Administrator, Verdina C. Baker, of the following violations. You are all under violation and operating outside of your oaths of office and both the Florida state and the U.S. Constitution. You are all acting outside of the authority of your office and do not have the governing authority to shut down Palm Beach County and mandate anything. You are all in violation of Florida state and federal constitutional law. You are all in violation of the people at large unalienable rights. You are all in violation of the following codes: 18 U.S. Code 241, 18 U.S. Code 242, 18 Code U.S. 245, 18 U.S. Code 18 U.S. Code 1031, 18 U.S. Code 1038, and 18 U.S. Code 1341 and 42, and U.S. Code 1983, 42 U.S. Code 1985, 42 U.S. Code 3617. This is an official notification of your violations. You need to understand this. No one is above the law.
Hello, Patriots!
Hello, Patriots, Nons, and Digital Soldiers.
This is Carrie.
This is Joel.
And we are the Quiet Boys.
Of Truth.
I can't even believe all these posts that we're about to read right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's finally happening.
Some of it's already happened.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of it has already happened. Man. So, before we get started today, I want to warn anyone who has not yet read the Q posts from September 2nd. The posts brought me to tears because they are graphic accounts of what many, many disgusting people holding positions of power in our world, many of them in our government, have been charged with or convicted of. All of them crimes against children. So while it was extremely gratifying that Q has put all of their names out there on blast for the whole world to hear, it's also extremely heartbreaking to read and to fully process the true nature of what these sick people have been doing to the children of our world. So please be warned, while it's necessary that we all know this information, it's not easy for Joel and I to present this, and it's not going to be easy to hear. Also, please make sure your own kids aren't anywhere nearby when you're listening to this show. All right, Joel.
All right, so first off, we've got Q posting. Some of these are long, guys. We're going to burn through them, but bear with us. So first one is post 4628, dropped 2nd of September at 11:33 a.m. So we've got a link to FBI.gov. We will go there in a minute, but first Q says, files do not go missing unless 7th floor direct involvement. Follow the logs.
So this link takes us to the FBI's website, and just to give a brief overview of what this is, it's talking about privacy impact assessment for the Sentinel system. So this goes into a lot of depth as to what Sentinel is. Basically, it's an automated case management system that's transforming the way that the FBI does business. It allows the Bureau to move from primarily paper-based to everything being electronic. So all of the records for every single case are all electronic. So that's what this whole thing is about. It's kind of just explaining what that is, how that affects caseloads, records, tasks, workflow, all of that stuff. So basically, FBI employees are now able to create case documents and submit them through a completely electronic process. So basically what I'm getting from this is that there is no possible way for things to be left out or missing from a case file.
Unless
because
direct involvement.
Exactly, from the high ups in the FBI.
Yep.
Because, yeah, with everything being electronic especially, I mean, come on. If things are paper like they've always been back in the day, everything's paper. Oh yeah, somebody misplaced a piece of paper, blah, blah, blah. Not possible when everything's electronic. It's just
Right.
simply not possible. Because they have to document every single thing that transpires from the beginning of a case until the case completion.
Yes, they do.
So yeah, so that's what this is about. We'll leave the link for you and you can check it out further if you'd like. Our next post is from the 2nd at 11:46 a.m. and we have a picture here of the USA Today, and the title of this article is How QAnon is Radicalizing Americans. So this is just yet another attempt to drag QAnon through the mud. We're all aware that this has been going on. The actual full title of this is How QAnon and Other Dark Forces Are Radicalizing Americans as the COVID-19 pandemic rages and election looms. Q says, corrupt, controlled enemies of the Republic.
Yeah, so what we got to understand here, Patriots, is they're trying to spin it like QAnon is this radical movement, when in reality what is going on is we as Americans, as patriots to this world in general, are waking back up, taking our power back away from them, and they don't like it, so they're labeling it as radicals. Anything that threatens their rule and grip on the world, they slander.
Exactly.
So us taking back our power, they will try to slander. We are not radicals.
Nope.
We are free-thinking, peaceful individuals.
Yep. Key.
Let it be
Peaceful.
known.
Free thinking, peaceful. Exactly.
Yep. And we are taking back our power, waking up, waking other people up, and they don't like it.
No, they don't. So guys, with these posts being as long as they are, Joel and I had a conversation about whether we wanted to just kind of summarize or shorten what is written here. And we came to the ultimate conclusion that no, we don't want to shorten this. We want to read every single word. We want to read every single name. And we want everyone to know what these sick, disgusting people have done to the children of our world.
They must be held accountable.
So we're going to say every single name and every single thing that they did because it needs to be out there. Like Q has said many times, these people will not be able to walk down the street. So we're going to read every single word. So I guess buckle up, Patriots.
Yep, buckle up indeed. So here we go. Post 4630 drop 2nd of September at 12:53 p.m. How is blackmail used? Democratic Illinois State Representative Keith Farnham has resigned and was charged with possession of child pornography and has been accused of bragging at an online site about sexually molesting a 6-year-old girl.
Oh, God. Democratic spokesperson for the Arkansas Democratic Party, Harold Moody Jr., was charged with distribution and possession of child pornography.
Democratic Radnor Township Board of Commissioners member Philip R. resigned from his position after being charged with possession of child pornography and abusing children between 2 and 6 years old.
Democratic activist and BLM organizer Charles Wade was arrested and charged with human trafficking and underage prostitution.
Democratic Texas attorney and activist Mark Benavides was charged with having sex with a minor, including a child under 18, to have sex and compelling prostitution of at least 9 legal clients and possession of child pornography. He was found guilty on 6 counts of sex trafficking.
Democratic Virginia delegate Joe Morrissey was indicted on charges connected to his relationship with a 17-year-old girl and was charged with supervisory indecent liberties with a minor, electronic solicitation of a minor, possession of child pornography, and distribution of child pornography.
Democratic Massachusetts Congressman Gary Stubbs was censured by the House of Representatives after he admitted to an inappropriate relationship with a 17-year-old page.
Democratic former mayor of Stillwater, New York, Rick Nelson, pled guilty to 5 counts of possession of child pornography of children less than 16 years of age.
Democratic former mayor of Clayton, New York, Dale Kenyon, was indicted for sexual acts against a teenager.
Democratic former mayor of Hubbard, Ohio, Richard Keenan, was given a life sentence in jail for raping a 4-year-old girl.
Oh my gosh. Democratic former mayor of Winston, Oregon, Kenneth Barrett, was arrested for setting up a meeting to have sex with a 14-year-old girl who turned out to be a police officer.
Democratic former mayor of Randolph, Nebraska, Dwayne L. Schutt, was arrested and charged with 4 counts of felony third-degree sexual assault of a child and 1 count of intentional child abuse.
Democratic former mayor of Dawson, Georgia, Christopher Wright, was indicted on the charges of aggravated child molestation, aggravated sodomy, rape, child molestation, and statutory rape of an 11-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl.
These are not easy to read, guys.
But these are also not
easy to
good
read,
people.
But we have to do this. So I apologize if this is hard to hear. I know it's hard to hear.
Some of it is too much for people, and we understand.
Democratic former mayor of Stockton, California, Anthony Silva, was charged with providing alcohol to young adults during a game of strip poker that included a 16-year-old boy at a camp for underprivileged children. These sickos, dude. This is really hard for me to read. Run by the mayor.
Democratic former mayor of Millbrook, New York, Donald Briggs, was arrested and charged with inappropriate sexual contact with a person younger than 17.
Democratic Party leader for Victoria County, Texas, Stephen Jabbour, pled guilty to possession and receiving over 500,000 child pornographic images.
Democratic activist and fundraiser Terrence Bean was arrested on charges of sodomy and sex abuse in a case involving a 15-year-old boy, and when the alleged victim declined to testify, the judge dismissed the case.
Democratic Party chairman for Davidson County, Tennessee, Rodney Mullen, resigned amid child pornography allegations.
Democratic activist Andrew Douglas Reed pleaded guilty to multiple counts of second-degree sexual exploitation of a minor for producing child pornography.
Democratic official from Terre Haute, Indiana, David Roberts, was sentenced to federal prison for producing and possessing child pornography, including placing hidden cameras in the bedrooms and bathrooms at a home he shared with 2 minor female victims.
Continued in Post 4631, Democratic California Congressman Tony Cardenas is being sued in LA County for allegedly sexually abusing a 16-year-old girl.
Democratic aide to Senator Barbara Boxer, Jeff Rosado, pled guilty to charges of trading in child pornography.
Democratic Alaskan State Representative Dean Westlake resigned from his seat after the media published a report alleging he fathered a child with a 16-year-old girl when he was 28.
Democratic New Jersey State Assemblyman Neil Cohen was convicted of possession and distribution of child pornography.
Republican Tim Nolan, chairman of Donald Trump's presidential campaign in Kentucky, pled guilty to child sex trafficking, and on February 11, 2018, he was sentenced to serve 20 years in prison.
Republican State Senator Ralph Shorty was indicted on 4 counts of human trafficking and child pornography. In November 2017, he pleaded guilty to 1 count of child sex trafficking in exchange for the dropping of the other charges.
Republican anti-abortion activist Howard Scott Heldreth is a convicted child rapist in Florida.
Republican County Commissioner David Schwartz pleaded guilty to molesting 2 girls under the age of 11 and was sentenced to 8 years in prison.
Republican Judge Mark Pazuhanich pleaded no contest to fondling a 10-year-old girl and was sentenced to 10 years probation.
Republican anti-abortion activist Nicholas Morency pleaded guilty to possessing child pornography on his computer and offering a bounty to anybody who murders an abortion doctor.
Republican legislator Edison Misla Aldarondo was sentenced to 10 years in prison for raping his daughter between the ages of 9 and 17.
Ugh, these people are sick.
Yes.
Republican Mayor Philip Giordano is serving a 37-year sentence in federal prison for sexually abusing 8 and 10-year-old girls.
Republican campaign consultant Tom Shortridge was sentenced to 3 years probation for taking nude photographs of a 15-year-old girl.
Republican Senator Strom Thurmond, a notable racist, had sex with a 15-year-old black girl, which produced a child.
Republican pastor Mike Hintz, whom George W. Bush commended during the 2004 presidential campaign, surrendered to police after admitting to a sexual affair with a female juvenile.
Republican legislator Peter Dibble pleaded no contest to having an inappropriate relationship with a 13-year-old girl.
Republican Congressman Donald Buzz Lukens was found guilty of having sex with a female minor and sentenced to 1 month in jail.
1 month in jail? Seriously?
Friends in high places much?
Republican fundraiser Richard A. Delgadio was found guilty of child porn charges and paying 2 teenage girls to pose for sexual photos.
Republican activist Mark A. Grethen convicted on 6 counts of sex crimes involving children.
Republican activist Randall David Ankeny pleaded guilty to attempted sexual assault on a child.
Republican Congressman Dan Crane had sex with a female minor working as a congressional page.
Republican activist and Christian coalition leader Beverly Russell admitted to an incestuous relationship with his stepdaughter.
Republican Congressman and anti-gay activist Robert Bauman was charged with having sex with a 16-year-old boy he picked up at a gay bar.
I can't read this one.
Get it. Republican Committee Chairman Jeffrey Patty was arrested for distributing a video clip of a 5-year-old girl being raped.
It's still going, guys, in Post 4632. Republican activist Marty Glickman, aka Republican Marty, was taken into custody by Florida police on 4 counts of unlawful sexual activity with an underage girl and 1 count of delivering the drug LSD.
Republican legislative aide Howard L. Brooks was charged with molesting a 12-year-old boy in possession of child pornography.
Republican Senate candidate John Hathaway was accused of having sex with his 12-year-old babysitter and withdrew his candidacy after the allegations were reported in the media.
Republican preacher Stephen White, who demanded a return to traditional values, was sentenced to jail after offering $20 to a 14-year-old boy for permission to perform oral sex on him.
Republican talk show host John Matthews pleaded guilty to exposing his genitals to an 11-year-old girl. Republican anti-gay activist Earl Butch Kimmerling was sentenced to 40 years in prison for molesting an 8-year-old girl after he attempted to stop a gay couple from adopting her.
Republican Party leader Paul Ingram pleaded guilty to 6 counts of raping his daughters and served 14 years in federal prison.
Republican Election Board official Kevin Cohn was sentenced to 2 years probation for soliciting sex over the internet from a 14-year-old girl.
Republican politician Andrew Burr was charged with 2 counts of first-degree sodomy with a 13-year-old boy.
Republican politician Keith Westmoreland was arrested on 7 felony counts of lewd and lascivious exhibition to girls under the age of 16, i.e. exposing himself to children.
Republican anti-abortion activist John Allen Burt was charged with sexual misconduct involving a 15-year-old girl.
Republican County Councilman Keola Childs pleaded guilty to molesting a male child.
Republican activist John Butler was charged with criminal sexual assault on a teenage girl.
Republican candidate Richard Gardner admitted to molesting his 2 daughters.
Republican councilman and former Marine Jack W. Gardner was convicted of molesting a 13-year-old girl.
Republican County Commissioner Merrill Robert Barter pleaded guilty to unlawful sexual contact and assault on a teenage boy.
Republican City Councilman Fred C. Smeltzer Jr. pleaded no contest to raping a 15-year-old girl and served 6 months in prison.
Republican activist Parker J. Bena pleaded guilty to possession of child pornography on his home computer and was sentenced to 30 months in federal prison and fined $18,000.
Republican parole board officer and former Colorado State Representative Larry Jack Schwartz was fired after child pornography was found in his possession.
Republican strategist and Citadel Military College graduate Robin Vanderwall was convicted in Virginia on 5 counts of soliciting sex from boys and girls over the internet.
Republican City Councilman Mark Harris, who is described as a good military man and churchgoer, was convicted of repeatedly having sex with an 11-year-old girl and sentenced to 12 years in prison.
Republican businessman John Grunzeth withdrew his candidacy for Minnesota governor after allegations surfaced that he went swimming in the nude with 4 underage girls, including his daughter.
Republican director of the Young Republican Federation, Nicholas Elizondo, molested his 6-year-old daughter and was sentenced to 6 years in prison.
There's more, guys. It continues in Post 4633. Republican benefactor of conservative Christian groups Richard A. Dason Sr. was charged with rape for allegedly paying a 15-year-old girl for sex. Dason, 62, who is married with grown children and several grandchildren, has allegedly told police that over the past decade he paid more than $1 million to have sex with a large number of young women.
Oh, we all know this guy. Democratic donor and billionaire Jeffrey Epstein ran an underage child sex brothel and was convicted of soliciting underage girls for prostitution.
We know this one too. Democratic New York Congressman Anthony Weiner pled guilty to transferring obscene material to a minor as part of a plea agreement for sexting and sending Twitter DMs to underage girls as young as 15.
And here's another one y'all know. Democratic donor, activist, and Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein is being criminally prosecuted and civilly sued for years of sexual abuse. That was a well-known secret in Hollywood, including underage sexual activities with aspiring female actresses.
Democratic activist and #MeToo proponent Asia Argento settled a lawsuit for sexual harassment stemming from sexual activities with an underage actor.
Democratic Mayor of Racine, Wisconsin, Gary Becker, was convicted of attempted child seduction, child pornography, and other child sex crimes.
Democratic Seattle Mayor Ed Murray resigned after multiple accusations of child sexual abuse were levied against him, including by family members.
Democratic activist and aide to New York City Mayor de Blasio, Jacob Schwartz, was arrested on possession of 3,000-plus child pornographic images.
Democratic activist and actor Russell Simmons was sued based on an allegation of sexual assault where he coerced an underage model for sex.
Democratic Governor of Oregon Neil Goldschmidt, after being caught by a newspaper, publicly admitted to having a past sexual relationship with a 13-year-old girl after the statute of limitations on the rape charges had expired.
Democratic Illinois Congressman Mel Reynolds resigned from Congress after he was convicted of statutory rape of a 16-year-old campaign volunteer.
Democratic New York Congressman Fred Richmond was arrested in Washington, D.C. for soliciting sex from a 16-year-old boy.
Democratic activist, donor, and director Roman Polanski fled the country after pleading guilty to statutory rape of a 13-year-old girl. Democrats and Hollywood actors still defend him to this day, including Whoopi Goldberg, Martin Scorsese, Woody Allen, David Lynch, Wim Wenders, Pedro Almodovar, Tilda Swinton, and Monica Bellucci.
Democratic State Senator from Alaska George Jacko was found guilty of sexual harassment of an underage legislative page.
Democratic State Representative candidate for Colorado Andrew Myers was convicted for possession of child pornography and enticing children.
Democratic Illinois Congressman Gus Savage was investigated by the Democratic-controlled House Committee on Ethics for attempting to rape an underage female Peace Corps volunteer in Zaire. The committee concluded that while the events did occur, his apology was sufficient and took no further action.
Really? His apology was sufficient? Democratic activist, donor, and spokesperson for Subway, Jared Fogle, was convicted of distribution and receipt of child pornography and traveling to engage in illicit sexual conduct with a minor.
Yeah, y'all remember that guy.
Unfortunately.
Democratic State Department official Carl Kerry under Hillary Clinton's State Department was arrested on 10 counts of child porn possession.
Democratic Maine Assistant Attorney General James Cameron was sentenced to just over 15 years in federal prison for 7 counts of child porn possession, receipt, and transmission.
Democratic State Department official Daniel Rosen under Hillary Clinton's State Department was arrested and charged with allegedly soliciting sex from a minor over the internet.
Democratic State Department official James Cafferty pleaded guilty to 1 count of transportation of child pornography.
Democratic radio host Bernie Ward pled guilty to 1 count of sending child pornography over the internet.
Democratic Deputy Attorney General from California, Raymond Liddy, was arrested for possession of child pornography.
Q. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm sorry you had to sit through that, but these people needed to be named, and there are more coming, believe us. It's a deep
What I just
hole.
can't understand, Joel, is how did this planet go so wrong? What happened here? Why is this happening? Why, I can't believe this
The
many
reason this
names.
is happening, Carrie, is because of the indifference of good men. When good men stand by knowing this is happening and choose to do nothing, this is what happens.
But what I don't understand is why do they want to do this to children? I don't understand how that happened here on this planet. Where did that come from?
Because they are sick and
But that's
evil.
not, but it's one thing to say that, and we know that, right? We know that it's sick, and we know that it's evil, and we know that it's wrong. But if there's this many people, right, and the countless more that we know are doing this, how is that?
Well,
why?
a lot of these people have been put into positions of power by people who have so much money you might not ever know their name. I mean, their day is coming too. But this is what happens when you have a corrupt, evil empire running everything behind the scenes and putting their people in the spots they want them. They know these people are sick, and they know that they can control them because of that.
this many people.
This many people
to
and
me
more.
is, like,
There's more. A lot more.
I feel like something went drastically wrong on this planet. I mean, I don't know if it's Satan or what it is, right? Like, something made people do this, right? Like, what other explanation is there? This many people hurting children in this way, you know? I mean, I just don't understand it.
Here's the thing. Their time is up, and they know it. That is why they are screaming loud and fighting hard, but they're going down. Because
I know, and the
the
more people who
indifference of
wake up to
Goodman
this,
is finally leaving. We are no longer indifferent to their crimes. We are no longer tolerant of them. We are now coming for them. Their
right,
time
and
is
as
up.
a planet, our collective consciousness is like, yeah, you're right, we're not allowing this to happen
Not anymore.
But
Never
these
again.
guys, all these names that we just said and the countless others that we didn't say, they're part of the collective consciousness too. So how the hell do we get rid of them? We're not pushing violence, guys. We're not advocating violence. But somebody who does this to a child, you know what you all know what should be done to them.
You know what Jesus
We don't
said
have to
about
say
it.
it. Yep. Jesus said it himself. Mm-hmm. And you know what? If we can't punish them properly here on Earth, they will. Oh, they will get their punishment, right, Joel?
Still have to answer to God.
Before we read this last Q post, we just wanted to mention a couple of things here. The first thing is that, obviously, as you noticed while we were reading that, this is not Democrat or Republican. This is both, on both sides equally.
Yep.
These
Like we've
slime
talked
bags
about
are
before,
on both
guys.
sides equally, and this shows us that clearly. And then the other thing, Q's not giving us a timeline here. Q's not telling us exactly when all of these things happened.
Some of these are actually pretty old,
Yeah,
guys.
so we know there were a few dates. We know 2017, 2018. We don't know when all of this happened, if it's recent, if it was a while ago.
Some of it goes back a ways.
A ways, yeah. And I think the point here is to let us know that these guys are gonna pay.
It's on both sides of the aisle, guys.
Yeah, it's on both sides of the aisle, and none of them are getting away with this.
Right. So post 4634 drops 2nd of September at 12:57 p.m. Why did it take a political outsider to finally confront China? Q.
Because the rest of them are in China's pocket.
The reason that it took a political outsider was because, guess what? He is in nobody's pocket. He could come in and do exactly what needed to be done that none of them could do, because they, like in the post we just read, they put those people in those positions so they can control them. So if they step out of line, they blackmail them or they kill them. That's
Exactly.
really the only way it goes. And with Trump, I mean, I know they've tried it with him, but he's like, nope,
No.
nope,
Hell
you
no.
can't control me.
No. Yeah, these people that have been in power for all of these years, they're sick, disgusting people. They're weak, and they're greedy.
And they need to go.
And they are going.
Yep.
They're going. They're bye-bye.
So we
They're
need
out.
to end on something funny, because this
Oh,
whole
God.
episode has been very heavy, guys.
Yes,
So
we do.
let's see
This has
what
caused
I
a lot
can
of
find.
tears for me today, guys. Yeah, I'm sure you heard it in my voice a few times, but yeah. I'm sure if you're anything like me, you're probably crying too. So anyway, yeah, something funny, Joel. Let's do it.
All right, Patriots, here it is.
We couldn't resist, guys. So sorry. But we had to do it.
Joe's going
We
to
had
tell
to
you
do
why
it.
you should stop your boast about. Okay? Here we go.
Oh, jeez.
And stop your boast about never being seemed at what you can do anything. You always talk about your ability to negotiate. Negotiate a deal. A deal for somebody other than yourself. Now I'm happy to take questions you may have. I guess staff's going to call on whoever. Fire away.
Great. MJ?
What happened?
What?
What? Oh, gosh,
And
guys.
stop.
Okay, stop your
Your
boast,
boast
about, Joe.
about-
Stop your boast
We know
about.
that it's more sad than funny at this point, but
I think it's hilarious. It is. Sorry. I'm
think
sorry, not
after
sorry.
the show today, we just needed something funny, and unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of funny stuff going on
Yeah.
out there today. So
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, we're going to end this episode. We wanted to give a shout out to our subscribers. We forgot to do that at the beginning. You guys are
Yeah.
amazing, awesome.
We're
We love
sorry,
you guys.
and we love you, and thank you.
Absolutely. Sorry this was a heavy episode, but thank you for bearing with us through it. And don't forget, guys, we opened up a Teespring account. You can go check out our Gold Q collection over there. We will leave the link for that down in the description.
And also, we'll be coming up with some new designs, and those will be out shortly,
Yeah.
and we'll let you know.
But that helps me and Carrie a little bit with financially, helped keep this show going and to
Yes, indeed.
just to eat food and stuff. Just the necessities. But anyway, we really do appreciate you guys'
Yes,
support
we love you guys so
much.
All of
And
us are in this together, Patriots.
Yep. If you do happen to be new here, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and toggle that little notification bell. That way you are notified when we put out new videos if you're enjoying our content. Patriots, Anons, and Digital Soldiers, please do not forget, where we go one, we go all.
Love you, Patriots.
Good night,
God bless and
Patriots.
good night.